Welcome to Urban Explorers, a podcast where we investigate the fascinating intersection of nature and city life. I'm Dr. Michael Reed, wildlife biologist.
And I'm Sarah Chen, urban ecologist. Today, we're diving into a topic that's literally surrounding us all: how wildlife adapts to living in our concrete jungles. It's really remarkable when you think about it, Michael. While cities might seem like the last place you'd expect to find thriving wildlife, many species are not only surviving, but evolving specifically to handle urban challenges.
That's exactly right, Sarah. What we're witnessing is essentially urban Darwinism, rapid evolutionary changes happening right before our eyes. Take birds in cities, for example. Research has shown that urban birds actually sing at higher pitches than their rural counterparts. Why? To be heard over the constant background noise of traffic and construction.
It's not just behavioral adaptations either. We're seeing genetic changes happening remarkably quickly. In New York City's Central Park, white-footed mice have evolved genes that help them process the fatty, human-discarded foods they encounter, as well as resistance to toxins found in some human foods.
And it gets even more fascinating when we look at physical adaptations. Caribbean lizards that have moved into cities have developed longer legs and more toe pads with specialized lamellae to grip the smooth urban surfaces like glass and concrete. Very different from the rough tree bark they evolved with originally.
What I find particularly interesting is how urbanization is changing animal behavior patterns. Many mammals are becoming more nocturnal in cities, shifting their active hours to times when human activity is minimal. It's a remarkable adaptation strategy to reduce conflict and stress.
Absolutely. Urban wildlife researchers call this temporal partitioning, basically animals changing when they're active to avoid us. But we should clarify something important for our listeners. Not all species can adapt to urban environments. The ones we see successfully living alongside us represent just a fraction of local wildlife.
That's a crucial point, Michael. For every successful urban adapter, like raccoons, pigeons, or coyotes, there are many species that simply cannot adjust to the noise, pollution, fragmentation, and other challenges cities present. What we're witnessing is essentially a filtering process. Some animals make it, many don't.
And that filtering appears to happen along several different adaptation pathways. Some animals succeed by being what scientists call mobile generalists, highly adaptable creatures that can move throughout large areas, eat virtually anything, and aren't picky about where they nest or rest. Urban bats often fall into this category.
While others, like many bird species, follow what researchers term the central place forager strategy. They maintain a fixed nesting site, but compensate by broadening their diet dramatically. Think about pigeons, who might naturally eat seeds, but in cities will consume almost any food waste they encounter.
We're even seeing changes in social behaviors. Some studies have found that, contrary to what you might expect, many animals don't become more aggressive in cities. They actually become more tolerant of each other and of humans. This challenges the idea that urban environments necessarily create more territorial or hostile wildlife.
Speaking of relationships with humans, let's talk about coexistence. As cities continue to expand worldwide, the question isn't really if we'll live alongside wildlife, but how we'll manage that relationship. What strategies do you think are most important for promoting coexistence, Michael?
Education is certainly at the top of my list. Understanding why animals are in our cities and how they benefit urban ecosystems is crucial. For instance, coyotes, often vilified in urban areas, actually help control populations of rodents, geese, and deer, creating a more balanced ecosystem.
Absolutely, and practical measures matter too. Not feeding wildlife, securing trash properly, respecting their space. These simple actions make a big difference. I'd also emphasize the importance of maintaining green spaces in urban planning, creating corridors that allow wildlife to move safely through the urban landscape.
What's fascinating to me is how this urban wildlife adaptation challenges some traditional conservation approaches. For instance, the conventional wisdom that connecting fragmented habitats is always beneficial might not apply in all urban contexts. Some isolated urban populations are developing specific adaptations to their local conditions, adaptations that might be diluted if they could freely mix with other populations.
That's such an important nuance to consider. Urban conservation requires us to think differently than we might in more pristine environments. And while it's incredible that some species can adapt to city life, we should emphasize that this doesn't diminish the urgent need to preserve natural habitats outside cities.
Precisely. The rapid evolution we're seeing in cities comes at a cost. Lots of animals that couldn't adapt simply disappeared from these areas. The species we see thriving represent survival stories, not evidence that everything is fine. For maintaining global biodiversity, protecting untouched areas remains absolutely essential.
As we wrap up today's episode, I think there's something powerful about recognizing the resilience of urban wildlife. These animals remind us that nature finds a way, even in our most human-dominated spaces. By being more conscious of our urban wildlife neighbors, we can create cities that are healthier for all inhabitants, human and non-human alike.
Well said, Sarah. For our listeners who want to learn more about urban wildlife in their area, consider participating in citizen science projects tracking urban species. Many cities have programs where residents can document wildlife sightings, contributing valuable data to researchers studying these adaptations.
Thank you for joining us today on Urban Explorers. In our next episode, we'll be looking at urban pollinator corridors and how city gardens can become lifelines for bees and butterflies. Until then, take a moment to observe the wildlife in your urban environment. You might be witnessing evolution in action.
This has been Urban Explorers. I'm Michael Reed.
And I'm Sarah Chen. Thanks for listening.